I'm Lauren from Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the Osprey Aoede backpack, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. The outside of this bag is pretty simple. The material itself is a Blue Sign approved material with a DWR treatment that's made without PFAS, which is nice. So it's very, kind of eco-friendly. This is also a 100% recycled 840D ballistic polyester. So basically the whole thing is made of this, except for like the back panel has a few other features on it, but in general, it's, as I mentioned, pretty simple on the outside. Just have a little Osprey logo here, and this is just stitched on. It's like a little patch. I think it stays very subtly out of the way. I really like the Aoede line in general from like an aesthetic standpoint. I think that they look more professional than some of Osprey's other bags. So if you're looking for something like that, kind of like this is like a great backpack slash briefcase, I guess, for if you're somebody who likes to go like straight from the office to go on a trip or something like that. We also have carry handle on the side, so this is nice and padded. And then we also have one up top that is similarly padded. So it's just like a nice squishy, kind of like foam feeling material. And it's really straightforward. I mean, my hand fits nicely under here. I didn't feel like that was uncomfortable at all or anything like that. It does have a decent amount of structure to it. So like the side of this one here, you can see I guess you can kind of see that it like bends a little bit when I squish it, versus like this material here that you can completely crunch up. So like I said, a little bit more structure on this side, a little bit more structure on this side, and then the back panel is pretty similar, which we'll look at in a second. But on the outside, no other terribly exciting features to speak of. The harness system is kind of where the magic happens here. So we have a pretty beefy luggage pass-through, which in my experience works great. So if you wanted to use this as your personal item, that's really awesome. This is a 22-liter bag, so decent amount of space there. But this back panel here, you can see, like if I push that material in, these are like individual ridges of, like if this back panel is foam, and then there's individual ridges which add a little bit of aeration. And then this is like a little mesh material that's pretty stretchy, different from the rest of the bag, but adds some aeration as well. So I found backpack mode to be the most comfortable. You can see that the straps here are pretty simple, and they're just attached with little G-hook carabiners here. And then if you wanted to not use these, which real quick, they're pretty simple. They're like, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches thick, something like that. And this is like a squishy foam. This is some mesh that's more breathable than like this back panel mesh here, but it's also a little scratchier. However, I did wear this many times with a tank top and was perfectly comfortable. But if you don't want to wear this, you can just sort of tuck it away, and then this little compartment zippers shut, and you can attach a carry strap. So there are 3 different ways to carry this bag. One is with the carry strap, which I'll show you while it's on. You attach it to, there's a little hook here, and then over on this side. And so you can carry it like that as a backpack, or just by the handle. So this is the sort of crossbody messenger mode that you can carry the bag in. This was definitely my least favorite of all of the carry modes. Really, it's between this or the backpack, or you can just carry it by the handle next to you in briefcase mode. So if I were to take this off, I could just carry it like that, which I think this is just a little bit too big for me to feel comfortable doing that for too long. So I use these handles more as like a grab handle. But with this on here, you can see that the shoulder strap padding itself is pretty far back set on me. And this is as tight as I could make the adjustment and have this padding still fall on my shoulder. Because if I were to try and tighten this even more, I have a 16-inch torso. So if I were to tighten this a little bit more, can't really do it on camera, this padding would start to fall back a little bit too much, and I wasn't able to find a comfortable position. So for me, this mode was just a little bit too clunky. If I wanted to put this on my back, it's a little bit better, but I would want it to be a little bit higher than this, and I just couldn't really find a comfortable spot. So this is the backpack in backpack carry mode, which, as I mentioned, is my preferred preferred way to carry it. You can see it goes down a little bit further on my torso, and it hits me at not a very comfortable spot, but it's not my favorite. I would want it to be a little bit higher if I had a option, but for me, this is where it feels the most comfortable with the shoulder strap adjustment. So with myself here, this back panel is pretty structured, which means that it's not really going to curve much to your back, but I personally like it. It gives me a little bit more like airflow back there. But in general, I found this to be pretty comfortable. The straps are fairly minimal, but even when I had this fully packed out, I didn't feel like it was too heavy or anything. If you're finding this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. So looking at the other pockets we have around this bag, I'm gonna start with this back one where the backpack straps stow. So like I mentioned, this is actually the zippers away. But one of the things that I noticed with this bag where if I wasn't using the carry strap, the side carry strap, I didn't really know where to put it. I was just kind of shoving it elsewhere in the bag. You could definitely just stick it in here if you wanted to, but it's not the most convenient, and then you can kind of feel it through the back panel. So for me, I just kind of tucked it away in a different pocket or something. But you can see here, the padding is pretty similar to that of the strap. So like I mentioned, comfortable enough, but not like, I wouldn't say that like ergonomics are this one's strong suit. In terms of other pockets here, we have a little back laptop pocket. So they say it fits up to a 16-inch device. This is more of like a tablet sleeve, but I have a 13-inch MacBook Pro that fits in here like a little dream. And it's like the perfect size for it, and it has a really extended, I wonder if I can show you. The laptop sleeve ends there, and then this is like how much space you have to make it like a false bottom in the backpack, which is really great. But if you have a larger device, like I said, fits up to a 16-inch device, you can just stick it here, though there is not really a false bottom. I guess it is a little bit of a false bottom. Like it's not directly on the bottom of the bag, but it's not quite as beefy as the other compartment is. So I found this to be a pretty solid pocket. No issues with that for me. And then we also have this front pocket here, which this is where I stuck something like my phone, and then I have my AirPods and then chapstick as well. This is a nice, like this pocket here goes down pretty far. If I put it, in the front of the bag, it goes down to about there. And it is like a softer material, so it's a good place for, like I put sunglasses and stuff in here too. And I found that to be like a really good quick grab pocket. I found myself like really liking this. I felt like I could get a lot of stuff in there without it actually getting lost, because sometimes when the pocket goes down too far, you're just like still kind of digging around in there. So I did really like this pocket. I found myself using it really more than this next pocket, which is our other kind of quick grab pocket, I guess you could say. This is more of like an admin panel. So you can see the amount of space you get with this top pocket here. But this has a sort of like J-shaped zipper. And so you can get some pretty solid visibility there. As you can see, I put my stuff back in this pocket. That gives it a little bit of extra weight, so it can flop around a little bit. But I found myself just sort of putting like an extra layer or something like that in here. But this is also a spot where you have a key leash. So this is nice and short. You're not actually gonna be using this to like keep your keys on it while you're unlocking your door. But what I liked about it is that it wasn't so long that my keys didn't feel like sometimes they're so long that you're like, what's the point of even having a key leash? But the keys fit really nicely in this sort of like mesh pocket here. We also have a spot for a pen slot. And then like I would stick my wallet in here sometimes if I didn't need it often, or gum or something like that. And then we have this back zippered pocket that this is where I currently have sunglasses in a case because I don't need them super often. But if I was going to be using those a lot, I would just put it in this front pocket here. So I didn't find myself using this organization too much. I'm just not a huge admin panel person, but I do think what I needed it for, it was really good. And then you also have a decent amount of space in here as well. Like you can see it's elevated a little bit. So even when I did shove an extra layer in here, I felt like I, could get it in here, and this is kind of a chunkier extra layer, but it didn't really impact the aesthetic of the bag too much, which I think is a really great feature. Sometimes when you stuff something out too much or put too much stuff in there, it can look a little lumpy, and that's not the case here. So now heading into the main compartments, you can see here we've got reverse coil zippers all around. I think it kind of gives it that nice sleek look. And then with all the zipper pulls here, they're just like these kind of grippy plastic, a little bit on the chunkier side, but they weren't too jingly jangly. Like I didn't notice much of that, so that was really great. You do have a ton of visibility here. So this compartment unzips all the way in like a full clamshell, and then you can see this entire main bucket area, which I personally really like. I think it's great for visibility, especially if you're going to be using this as a sort of like, you know, straight from work to travel weekend. This is a really great option. You can see I've got 3 packing cubes in here. In a silica packet that apparently has just been floating around. I use this for a couple of overnights, but I overpacked it just to see how much I could get in there. And I got about like 3 days of clothes, like a pair of pants, a couple of different shirts, and then like a packing cube with like underwear and stuff like that. Or I would use some of the pockets in this front admin panel for that type of a thing. So just kind of varied, got like a toiletry bag in there. So I think it'd be good for like a long weekend or something. But you do have, you know, a decent amount of structure. You can see that these walls aren't like falling down or anything like that. So I think what this bag does really, really well is giving you great packing visibility. Two things that kind of irritated me that I noticed over the course of my testing. One was that there's no water bottle pocket, which usually I don't find a huge issue with. What I didn't love was that I didn't feel like there was a great alternative spot to just put it. So if I were to put a water bottle in this bag, it fits perfectly fine, this main compartment, but it was hard to get in and out of it really quickly, which is my other thing, and I'll go over that in a second. But I did find myself just kind of like dumping it in here, and then that's when it started to look a little bit lumpy, or it was fighting for space with like an extra layer or something like that. So I didn't love that. I did use this. It was either this pocket or this pocket earlier I used to carry like a small coffee cup. So like there are alternative options, right? But if like you live and die by a water bottle pocket, maybe look elsewhere. The other thing is that I mentioned with that sort of accessing this main compartment, I found myself where, let me put some stuff in here so it gives it a little bit of support. I found myself when I would zip this up, I would take one zipper and put it all at the bottom or something like that. And then if the bag was upright and I wanted to really quickly get into the main compartment to access, I don't know, my toiletry bag, or just, you know, shove something in there because I didn't have space in that front compartment, I would have to like not only pull up the one zipper on the bottom here, I'd have to pull both of them up so that I wouldn't like open up the whole bag on accident. I don't think that this is something that is like a deterrent for the bag. I think though it is something to keep in mind that if you're going to be primarily using it in backpack mode, making sure that when you're zipping it, just keeping the zippers up where they're going to be accessible so you can quickly open there, kind of get what you need, and then close it back up again. But it is nice because if you're in briefcase mode or you're carrying it as a messenger bag or something, you can open up the side here and get to your gear the same way. So from like a design and functionality standpoint, I definitely get it. And I do really like the visibility. I just found myself kind of getting annoyed that I was always shuffling the zippers around. So very small, very, very nitpicky thing. In general, I think this bag looks good and is great for everyday carry that can kind of take you to a long weekend of traveling. So there you have it, the Osprey Aoede Backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.